I never imagined a simple misunderstanding would lead to the revelation of a secret millionaire. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. My heart raced, echoing my frantic footsteps as I dashed through the crowded city streets. The sun hung low, casting sharp shadows that whispered secrets, but I couldn't see them. Not then. My world was narrowed to a singular moment, one that wrapped its claws around my throat and squeezed. I clutched a coffee cup like a lifeline, warmth bleeding through my trembling fingers. It felt heavy. So heavy. It happened in a small, corner cafe, my safe haven. The aroma of roasted beans filled the air, wrapping around me like a comforting hug. But that day, something was different. I had met him weeks before. Marcus. He was charming, with a smile that could melt glaciers. We shared stolen glances and lingering conversations that awakened thoughts of something more. Excitement surged through my veins. Was he the one? But then, she walked in. Sarah, my best friend since childhood. I could feel my heart drop. Her eyes darted past me, locking onto Marcus. A frown etched itself across her delicate features, the kind that often preceded disaster. As they talked, I felt cold dread slither down my spine. Voices blurred into the background. I fought for clarity. Were they laughing? Smiling? My chest tightened. Suddenly, Sarah's voice pierced through my fog. Wait, you're a millionaire? The cafe fell silent. Forks clinked on plates, and whispers erupted like wildfires. The word millionaire echoed in my ears. I could hardly breathe. Marcus looked caught off guard. I saw panic flash in his eyes. A moment stretched longer than any moment should. Was it true? I felt my body numb. Everything I thought I knew about him shattered in an instant. The laughter faded, replaced by the deafening silence of my racing thoughts. What did I know about Marcus? Had every item on his carefully curated facade been a lie? A slick veneer hiding secrets beneath? I wanted to scream. Tears threatened to spill as I braced for the storm brewing in my chest. My limbs felt heavy, rooted to the spot. Sarah's gaze turned to me, confusion framing her face. How could she not see what was unfolding? I was losing everything. The air was thick with tension. Everyone's eyes fixed on us, waiting for a reaction. I had to understand. I had to know. Yet, my mouth felt dry, like sandpaper against my tongue. What did it mean for me? For us? The questions swirled. Had I even known him? I had opened the door to my heart, only to find treachery lurking on the other side. My heart thudded dully in my chest. And then, like a sharp twist of fate, I heard a sharp intake of breath. Diane, I need to explain, Marcus started, but the world around me faded. I didn't want to hear justifications. I needed answers. The weight of urgency felt unbearable. My legs felt like lead. Did he really think I could just understand? As I stood frozen in that moment, all eyes on me, I felt the adrenaline spike. What truth had he kept hidden? The betrayal extended beyond him. It cut deeper into my friendship with Sarah. Trust was breaking like fragile glass beneath my feet. I blinked hard, tears threatening to spill over. My heart felt echoing silence deafening around me. For once, the world around me stood still. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. What would I say? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The stairs felt like daggers as I stood in that cafe, my heart pounding against my ribcage like a trapped bird. I wanted to scream, to run. Yet, the pull of Marcus's eyes held me captive, a silent plea wrapped in confusion and regret. My world was dissolving into chaos, fragments of yesterday's hopes sprawling across the cold tile beneath my feet. Diane Marcus's voice, once a soothing balm, now felt foreign, almost imploring. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My chest tightened further, suffocated by betrayal and fear of the unknown. What did it mean that he had hidden this part of his life from me? Had every laugh, every moment we shared been tainted by a lie? "Let us step outside," Sarah suggested, her voice shaking slightly. She placed a gentle hand on my arm, a gesture meant to comfort, but it felt like a weight pulling me deeper into despair. I didn't want her pity, nor her fervent need to explain. I wanted her to understand the pain that sliced through me like a knife. We slipped outside into the brisk autumn air, the crispness stinging my cheeks. The world felt muted, blurred by my tears. I took a deep breath, trying to center myself amidst the chaos. The street bustled with life around us, unaware of my turmoil. I felt exposed, raw. "Diane, I had no idea how to tell you," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "I thought he was just a regular guy. I swear. When I found out it was supposed to be a surprise. I didn't think what? That I would be hurt? That I would care that he's a millionaire?" My voice came out sharper than I intended, each word driven by desperation. "You've been my best friend since forever, Sarah. You should have known this would shatter everything. I was trying to protect you," she insisted, her eyes wide with distress. "When I saw him, I didn't want to ruin the moment. I wanted to be sure. I thought he was different. Different." I let out a bitter laugh, my heart clenching painfully. How can anyone be different when they're hiding the truth? You don't even know him like I do. Just then, a small child passing by with his mother stumbled, nearly spilling his ice cream. The child's eyes went wide with surprise, but the mother caught him in the nick of time, lightly scolding him with a smile as they continued on their way. For a moment, my anger dulled, my heart swelling only to break again with memories of innocence and the joy of simple moments. Looking at Sarah, I saw not only the betrayal, but a sad reflection of my own fears of vulnerability, of allowing myself to love someone who could take it away in one swift moment. "Do you think I could ever trust him again?" I whispered, sinking into defeat, my breath hitching. I wanted to believe in Marcus, to cling to those fleeting moments of happiness we shared, but the foundation felt cracked, ready to crumble. Just give him a chance to explain," Sarah urged, her eyes pleading. "He needs you to understand. I think he cares about you, Diane, even if he messed up." "Cares about me?" I echoed, hurt and disbelief spilling over the edges of my weary heart. How can I believe that when I don't even know who he is? But beneath my wrath, a flicker of hope ignited. Was the kindness I'd seen in him buried beneath layers of complexity, or had it all been a facade? Before I could spiral deeper, Marcus stepped outside, looking vulnerable and lost. I could see the edges of his anxiety etched into his features. This man, the one who had torn apart my once tranquil reality, was now standing before me in the chill of autumn, trying to gather the courage to face what he'd broken. "Diane," he started softly, but my heart raced not with anticipation, but with anger and confusion. "Please, I need you to hear me." And as I stood surrounded by my unraveled emotions, I felt the uncertainty collapse into silence, leaving a gaping question in its wake. Could I find the strength to listen, or was it easier to close this chapter for good? Just as the thought settled in, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification lit up the screen, and I glanced at it, my pulse quickening at the sender's name, my estranged father. "Diane, wait." Marcus called out, but I was already stepping back into that reality-shattering world of unanswered questions. The wind whipped through the street, sending a shiver down my spine as I turned away from Marcus. Every step felt heavy, as if I were trudging through wet concrete. The notification on my phone pulsed like a heartbeat, but my mind was a whirlpool of confusion and hurt. Why now? Why after all these years? I had no answers, only the insatiable question of how my father could dare to reach out after abandoning me. "I can't do this right now," I muttered, not sure if the words were meant for Marcus or for myself. "Diane, please." His voice crackled with desperation, but I kept walking, my heart racing not only from the confrontation, but from the remnants of a long-buried anger. I could hear Sarah's soft footsteps follow me, an echo of my turmoil. "Wait," she called out. "You're not thinking of answering him, are you?" I paused midway down the block, my fingers clenching tightly around my phone. "He has no right to contact me. Not after everything." The truth hung in the air between us, brittle and sharp. My father's return was a tempest I had never prepared for. I had crafted a life devoid of his shadow, but now it threatened to crash through the walls I had built. Questions about my childhood, his absence, and what my life could have been, these thoughts seized me with a tightness in my chest. "Listen," Sarah said softly, stepping closer, her expression earnest. "You deserve answers about him just like you deserve answers about Marcus. Don't let him pull you back in. You've worked hard to keep moving forward." My heart ached at her concern, the warmth of friendship clashing with the frigid reality of the moment. But how could I tell her that the confines of my heart felt like a labyrinth? Each path I explored was filled with thorns of regret and doubt, and here stood Marcus, the embodiment of a new and frightening challenge. Just as a thought began to form, a cab roared by, splattering water over the sidewalk. I watched as it swerved around the corner, though my mind was far from the street. My heart raced as I felt two pieces of my life, a father I had wanted for so many years, and the burgeoning love for Marcus colliding like carriages in a derailed train. "I want to believe in him, Sarah," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. "But what if the truth shatters everything again? What if he asks just like my father?" Sarah reached for my arm, grounding me. "You know you're not that little girl anymore. You have power now. You can choose who to trust." At that moment, my fingers buzzed against the glass of my phone once more, the screen revealing an image, a photo of a little girl with bright blue eyes standing beside a man whose face twisted into a sheepish smile. I felt my breath catch as the recognition hit me, the man I had never known, a man in the world he had crafted without me, standing next to my younger self. "Diane, are you okay?" Sarah asked, her tone shifting with concern when she saw the color drain from my face. I could only shake my head, panic rising in my throat. This was too much. I could see my past and my future colliding violently, erupting in a cacophony of emotions that left me gasping. The girl in the photo was me, yet there was a stranger holding my hand. Who was he? Why was he in my life after all this time? "Diane," Marcus's voice called softly from behind me, his own footsteps growing closer. "Just give me a chance to explain what happened, to tell you the truth about everything." In that moment, I stood at the crossroads. My father's message burned in my pocket, a tether to a world long since closed for me. Marcus, standing resiliently despite the turmoil, bore the weight of secrets I had yet to uncover. I felt the mounting pressure of a choice teetering on the brink. Would I lay bare my heart and risk it all for a chance at understanding? Or would I retreat into the shadows of my past, avoiding yet another potential heartache? But before I could answer the questions swirling in my mind, my phone buzzed again. This time, a video attachment appeared from my father titled, "You need to see this." My stomach dropped as the implications sunk in. "Diane?" Marcus's hand brushed against mine, both bold and timid, a gesture of connection that both thrilled and terrified me. This was it. A moment threaded between anguish and bewildering tenderness. Would I stay and face the revelation that could break me, or would I turn away again, hiding from truth, kept safe by the walls I had so desperately built? And just as I readied myself to make a decision, my father's face appeared on the screen, smiling. But blooming behind that smile was a shadow, the unmistakable figure of Marcus standing beside him. My breath hitched in my throat, choking off the reality of what I had just seen. "Diane, please." Marcus shouted again, but my heart was racing in a different direction entirely, a tempest far beyond what either of them could possibly comprehend. The world around me faded, the city sounds muffled like I was trapped beneath glass. All that existed was the flickering image on my phone, fleeting wisps of laughter and warmth etched in my father's eyes as they shared a moment I had never known. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone down and crush the truth into the asphalt below. Instead, I stood frozen, my heart pounding, an unwelcome realization dawning with every passing second. "Diane?" Marcus's voice broke through, shattering the haze but not the truth. "Don't think the worst, please." The video continued to play, each second further entrenching the confusion in my soul. There was no denying it, there was a bond between them. A hidden history orchestrated from the shadows, a life I had never been part of, one that made my pain feel cheap and small in comparison. And there was Marcus, standing at the threshold of that life, enveloped in secrets of his own. "Tell me it's not what it looks like," I said, my voice trembling as I turned to him. The vulnerability of the moment gnawed at my insides. "Just tell me you didn't know him." But the look in Marcus's eyes spoke volumes. The color drained from his face, twisting a mixture of betrayal and pain etched across his features. "I didn't know your father, Diane. I promise you I didn't. I only found out recently," he whispered, the weight of unsaid words hang heavy in the air between us. "Then what is that?" I asked, gesturing to the screen, desperate for clarity, an anchor in the storm. "Why were you standing next to him?" As the uncertainty loomed, I felt Sarah's comforting presence behind me, her breath a gentle reminder that I didn't have to bear this alone. Yet, the heaviness in my chest couldn't be lifted. There were coils of betrayal tightening around my heart, and all I wanted was to tear them away. But the only thing I felt was Marcus's warmth retreating, his gaze dropped to the ground as if ashamed. "I was trying to find out who he was," Marcus admitted, his voice barely above a whisper, subdued by the weight of my disappointment. "I thought you deserved to know the truth who your father was, what he has done." "Was?" I echoed. The word sent sharp pangs through me as if daring to breathe life back into the absence. "He is not dead?" Marcus looked at me with deep regret, the truth etched in every line of his face. "He is alive. He reached out to me first, before you. I didn't know how to tell you without tearing the fragile tapestry of your life apart. So you kept it a secret." My anger bubbled over, fueled by fear and a sense of betrayal that felt too big to contain. "You kept me in the dark while you played detective?" "Diane, it wasn't like that," he exclaimed, stepping forward, searching my eyes for understanding. "I was trying to protect you." "From what? The truth? Or the fact that you were part of his life?" I countered sharply, heart racing at a tempo that matched the storm pooling in my chest. "Both," he sighed, running his fingers through his hair in frustration. "I had no idea it would hurt you like this, and I didn't know he would." His words falter, the edges of his statement bleeding into silence as another truth loomed, one he was not ready to voice. "I need space," I choked out, turning and stepping away. Sarah's hand fell onto my shoulder, grounding me even as the ominous reality pulsed beneath my skin. "Diane, please." Marcus reached out, desperation finally breaking the mask of his calm demeanor. "No, you don't get to pull me back in. You don't get to choose for me." I snapped, the tears blurring my vision as I stumbled through a storm of my own making. I had wanted so much understanding, love, a connection, but all of it now felt perilously close to shattering. Yet, just when I felt completely untethered, Sarah's grip tightened, her voice steady. "Diane, it's okay to feel this way. We can find the answers together. You're not alone in this." Just then, my phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up like an unwanted beacon. The latest message was from my father, and with it came the relentless buzz of hope fighting against the shadows of despair. No matter how hard I tried to shut it out, there was still an ember of curiosity buried deep within a need to know. "Before you decide, please just watch this," Marcus breathed, desperation threading his words again. "There's more. You're not seeing the whole picture." I hesitated, looking between him and my phone. The comfort of ignorance was a tempting embrace, but reality clawed its way to the forefront, and the temptation to delve deeper ignited a flicker of rebellion in my heart. "Fine," I said, voice trembling but resolved. "But if you're lying to me about something else, Marcus, I will never lie to you," he replied, conviction filling his voice as he took a deep breath. There was sincerity in his gaze, a depth of feeling that held me captive. Even in my turmoil, my heart hammered in my chest, knowing that this was a door I couldn't close. Once it opened, a door filled with darkness and light, uncertainty and possibility. As the promise of revelation glimmered before me, I could almost taste the paradox of hope and fear entwined like threads of a tapestry, waiting to unravel, and with that I pressed play. The moment the image flickered to life, I felt the air grow heavy, pregnant with anticipation, poised to reveal everything that had been veiled in shadow. My father's voice filled the air, yet it was the truth of the unknown that poised me on the edge of a precipice, my heart racing as I prepared to take that next leap into an uncertain journey ahead. As soon as the video began, my breath caught in my throat. The familiar cadence of my father's voice cascaded through the speaker like a wave crashing over me, cool and refreshing yet laced with an undercurrent of chaos. The ocean of emotion I'd been standing in began to swirl violently. The screen showed the same vibrant smile I had imagined countless times, one that had danced through my dreams and haunted my waking thoughts. "Diane," he started, his tone imbued with warmth and an unsettling urgency. "If you're watching this, then it means I've made some choices. Choices I can't take back." Those words struck me like a blow. The longing I'd felt for a connection suddenly felt tainted by guilt and confusion. As I watched, part of me yearned to rush to him, to embrace him and get lost in that elusive father-daughter bond. But another part recoiled, filled with the weight of betrayal not only for the secrets he had kept, but also for the way it altered everything I'd known about my life, about myself. "I know the last time you saw me, it was through the lens of a family I created without you," he continued, his voice trembling slightly, "and I am deeply sorry for the pain that has caused you. But I want you to know that it wasn't my choice to keep you away." With those words, the scene shifted, displaying photographs that sent my heart plummeting. There I was, my younger self beaming in birthday celebrations, surrounded by friends, but missing a dad beside me. It morphed into images of a lavish home, extravagant parties, smiling faces gathered under chandeliers I had never known. Was I simply a ghost in my own life? A child of privilege without the privilege of a father? Marcus stepped closer, but I barely registered him. I was lost, swimming through memories of running down dirt paths with makeshift kites in hand, birthdays passed with faceless gifts, and fleeting glimpses of a life that seemed to belong to someone else. Suddenly, it all felt painfully bifurcated, as though I was living in two realities, one tethered to the warmth of familial love and another filled with absence. "Diane," my father's voice broke into my reverie. "I wish I could tell you everything in person, but forgive me, it's not the safest choice. You may not understand now, but the world I'm a part of is dangerous." The weight of his words settled like stone in my stomach, and I desperately searched Marcus's face, hoping for clarity in a moment steeped in ambiguity. But all I saw were the same calamitous emotions I felt churning inside me. Shadows of questions flickered, demanding to be answered. "What are you involved in, Dad?" I whispered, although he couldn't hear me. The video continued. My father described things I didn't understand: a corporation, shadows and boardrooms, whispers of money and power. It felt like a game where I hadn't even been handed the rules. The air around us thickened. The truth of who my father really was began to wrest control over my perception of him. I wanted to turn away, yet an unexpected warmth settled into my chest. As lost as I felt, my father seemed desperate to reach out, a yearning concealed inside each pixelated frame. I sensed that beneath the folds of opulence lay a man grappling with choices that led to a divide I could barely fathom. "Trust me when I say that I love you, and I always have," he continued, his voice heavy with emotion. "But these secrets I've kept, they were meant to protect you. There are people who want to control what I have, and by extension, they may want to control you as well. Stay low, stay safe. I'll find a way to reach you." That last remark resonated like a thunderclap in the silence surrounding me, and my breath caught in my throat, close to strangling me. He was alive, but so were the tangled suspicions of danger that danced in the shadows of his world. Suddenly, the video cut out, leaving an echo in the air where words had once flowingly poured. I was reeling from a revelation that felt like a boulder landing squarely on my chest. I hadn't known my father at all. The man I'd imagined, the guardian angel I'd desperately desired, was entangled in something far greater than familial love. "Diane," Marcus's voice broke through my haze of confusion and terror. "You've got to understand, I had no idea. Was this the truth you were protecting me from, Marcus?" I voiced, my tone sharp, tearing through what little distance remained between us. "The danger he carries like burdens? This was all hidden behind a mask of secrets." "No," he exclaimed, raising his hands as he stepped toward me cautiously. "No, I swear I didn't know it was like this. I just wanted to learn more about your family." I thought he might give clarity. And I thought what? I interrupted, feeling my pulse quicken with each word. "That you could shield me?" That we could simply brush aside the shadows? I wanted to shield you from the pain more than the danger, he admitted, his own frustration bubbling to the surface. None of this is easy for me either. I promise I didn't set out to hurt you. I was hoping to find a way to protect you that didn't involve you feeling. His voice trailed off, and we both felt the weight of those unsaid words, the fear and loathing. That didn't involve me feeling what? Betrayed? I rounded on him, emotions spiraling into a chaotic whirlpool. Or alone. I don't know if I can trust you either. Just then, a figure emerged behind Marcus, a woman in her 40s with striking features that mirrored mine. My heart raced even amidst the emotional turmoil. The intuitive spark shot through me. This woman carried a certain familiar energy that drew my eyes as she stepped forward, her gaze flickering between Marcus and me. "Diane," she said softly, concern pooling in her ocean blue eyes. "You need to know that everything you've heard is layered beneath truths that we must navigate together." I could only feel the world tilting below my feet, layers unraveling like fabric caught in the wind. Everything I had built within the confines of my heart rose in protest, demanding answers just as the woman was demanding my attention. "Who are you?" I asked, trembling, every instinct screaming that this moment held weight. "I'm your mother, Diane." With that single answer, the floor fell away. All that was solid crumbled into abstract notions of lost connections and familial webs intertwined with secrets. As the revelation hung in the air, I stood on the brink of a new abyss, with shadows waiting to spill forth and the flickering lights of truth beckoning me forward. Everything felt suspended, as if time had stopped to accommodate the dizzying revelation. I blinked, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of her words. My mother. She stood before me, an ethereal figure plucked from my daydreams. Yet her reality felt tied to the chaos that had erupted in my life like a violent storm. I had spent so many years yearning for the embrace of a mother I had only known through fragments and shadows, and yet here she was, cloaked in the very mystery I had been unraveling. Instinctively, my heart whispered of both longing and caution, as if it were grappling with the idea of opening itself up to someone who had been absent for so long. "Your mother?" Marcus echoed, his voice low but strained. The shock painted across his features mirrored my own turmoil. "But how is that? It's complicated," she replied, her voice serene yet tinged with sorrow. "I had no choice but to disappear. It was for your safety, Diane, both yours and mine." My pulse quickened as I fought the boiling urge to question her. "You left me," I said, my tone wavering but resolute. "For my safety? How could you think that was okay? I've grown up without you, without any family." She took a step closer, hands outstretched, imploring. "I know it looks that way now, but understand, the circumstances were dire. Your father and I were part of a world that carries grave dangers, a world that I tried to shield you from. But then things became more complicated than we imagined, and I had to go. I had to protect you from the truth and from him. It was never my intention to disappear entirely." "Protect me?" I echoed incredulously, a bitter laugh slipping past my lips. "What you did was destroy any chance of us having a relationship. I don't even know you." The last words tumbled out like shards of glass, sharp and painful. She flinched, her features betraying the hurt that lay beneath her composed exterior. "I can't undo the past, Diane. But I am here now and I want to explain. We need to untangle this mess together." "Untangling what? All these lies and secrets?" The knot in my throat tightened, each word becoming a weight that choked me, making it hard to breathe. "You don't even know how long I've been haunted by your absence." "Those secrets were never meant to haunt you," she replied gently, her voice laced with understanding. "Secrets can keep you safe, but they can also imprison you. The risks we took, I thought if I removed myself, you could lead a normal life, one free from shadows." But the thought of normal felt foreign, increasingly elusive. I had grown accustomed to the crumbling walls of my existence, wallpapered with emotional isolation. "So you thought that leaving would somehow turn our lives into the perfect fairy tale?" The air grew thicker with tension as an unyielding silence took hold, leaving each of us stranded amidst our own intricacies of pain. It began to settle in. My mother, the woman I had yearned for in dreams and glimpses, was just as flawed as anyone else who walked this earth. "Listen to me," she pleaded, stepping forward with a fragile yearning. Forgive me. Whatever you've discovered now, my intention was never to hurt you. I want to protect you from the world I walked away from. If you allow me a chance, we can figure this out together. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, a distant siren blared, reverberating through the street outside the coffee shop, jolting us back to reality. A reminder that the world beyond our emotional crises continued its relentless push forward, oblivious to the storm brewing within. "Diane, I think we need to leave," Marcus interjected, his voice hushed yet urgent. His eyes darted to the door, a sense of palpable dread brewing in the air. "We might not be safe here. What if someone else already watching?" Panic coursed through me, mingling with the tumult of emotions that had erupted only moments ago. I looked back at my mother, at her anguished face shimmering with desperation. I didn't know how to process it all, how to disentangle the fragility of everything around us as uncertainty lingered like mist after rain. "I need time to think," I finally managed, the words tumbling out like a lifeline I tossed into the chaotic realm of the unknown. A flicker of hope ignited in her gaze, but I scarcely allowed myself to acknowledge it. The walls I had built around my heart felt too frail to withstand the truths racing toward me. Marcus shifted, a resolute breath escaping as he pulled me gently by the arm. "Let us go now." As we made our way to the door, I could hear my mother's voice, trailing behind us like an echo of a fragile wish. "I'm here, Diane. I'll always be here. We will make this right." The door swung open, and a gust of cool air hit me, stark and visceral. But even as we stepped into the street, I couldn't shake the feeling I had left so much behind, a treasure trove of still unknowable truths layered beneath the surface. Yet, in that very moment, fate had other plans. As we hurried down the street, a shadow crossed my path. A dark figure emerged from the end of the block, locking eyes with me, a familiar gaze that sent chills spiraling down my spine. "Diane," the figure called, voice smooth as silk yet laced with a chilling edge. "You've been looking for answers, but the real questions lie with us." With that, the world around me sharpened, standing on the cusp of an avalanche set to tumble. New dangers piled onto the old, a tapestry woven with deceit, and, before I could comprehend, the unraveling had begun anew, plunging me into dark waters where I feared to tread. The chill from the figure's voice froze me to the spot, my heart thundering against my ribcage like a trapped bird desperate for escape. It was as if time had conspired to deepen my turmoil, forging new chains from the remnants of my past. Hazy memories clawed at my consciousness, reminding me of the elusive hints and half-truths I had gathered over years of yearning. The fragile new connection to my mother dangled before me like a tantalizing fruit, but now this shadow loomed above it, darkening the light of hope. Who are you?" I stammered, drawing Marcus closer. Instinctively, his body shielded mine, but the gnawing sense of dread sharpened. What had I gotten myself into? The figure, a tall man in a tailored black coat, took a step closer, his expression unreadable yet eerily calm. "That's not what really matters right now, is it?" he replied, each word dripping with a confidence that felt unsettling. The way he spoke hinted at a familiarity with the depths of my story that I had yet to peel back myself. "What matters is that your quest for answers has not only unveiled your mother, but opened doors better left shut. Stay away from us," Marcus growled, stepping protectively in front of me. "Oh, you misunderstand," the stranger murmured, narrowing his eyes as an enigmatic smile played on his lips. "I'm not your enemy, but I can assure you, there are powers at play that don't appreciate your newfound clarity." "What do you mean?" I asked, dread coiling in my gut, each word like lead on my tongue. The complexities and layers of my reality were dizzying. What was once a longing for my mother was morphing into a tempest that threatened to consume me. Think about your mother's words. Safety, protection, actions rooted in fear. What she didn't tell you is that your existence has attracted attention. He gestured to the street, swallowing in the unfolding chaos of the city around us, blaring sirens and jostling crowds obliviously interspersed. Those who watch are not remotely as forgiving as she is. "Enough," Marcus shouted, his voice slicing through the tension. He gripped my arm tighter, his worry clashing with the revelation brewing like an angry tide. I dared not look to him for reassurance, fearing that even the slightest glance could shatter our fragile grip on the present moment. Diane, you need to understand. There are things about your parents, about your father, things nobody ever wanted to speak of. But this is about survival now. Your mother was terrified of your father, and what he could do if he found out you existed again. The man leaned closer, his voice dropping another octave, as if sharing an unspoken secret. You're connected, dear girl. You're more than just a daughter caught in a rift between two worlds. My heart pounded, a confusion thickening in the air. Connected to what? Who are you? He smiled again, too knowing, too calculating. The answer to that question lies in deeper waters than you imagine. If you're truly seeking the truth, if you desire to know more about the life your mother kept hidden, his gaze flicked to Marcus and back to me. You'll have to come to the brink of those shadows. Seek out the truth, and you'll discover what it means to be part of this legacy. What legacy? I retorted, the fervor in my voice almost surprising me. I'd been undermined for too long, caught in webs of silence and secrets, and now, standing before this man, I felt the rising storm of defiance ready to lash out. But the stranger only chuckled lightly, an unsettling tune against the backdrop of muffled chaos. You'll find it one matter what you want to believe. The truth is an entity of its own, and it will push you where you least expect to go. Before I could respond, he turned crisply and began to walk away. The confidence in his stride stirred a whirlwind of emotions in me, leaving me with the resonance of uncertainty. Wait. Marcus grabbed my wrist, pulling me back, as if sensing the weight of what I would say next. Diane, we can't trust him. This is all too much. I cut in, feeling a flicker of defiance spark in my chest. You don't understand, Marcus. My mother's hiding something, and so is he. What if he's right? What if my father is involved? We can't just walk away. But what about your mother? He asked, eyes wide with concern. You just found her, and this can't be what you want. Is it what you want? I shot back, searching his gaze for clarity. To hide from the shadows forever? We stood at a crossroads, poised between the past and an uncertain future. My heart warred with my mind, each side colliding with arguments that no longer made sense. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced my heart, a sudden realization. I could lose my mother again, not to the shadows this time, but to the very realities I feared confronting. Diane, Marcus pleaded softly, the tension of our shared gaze unbreakable. Please let us just go. I have to know, I whispered, my voice trembling with the weight of the decision pressing on my shoulders. I have to embrace the truth, whatever it is. Just then, without warning, the figure turned on his heel, his shadow stretching long across the pavement. Good choice, Diane. You'll need every bit of courage you can muster. There's more at stake than you know. And with a flick of his wrist, he slipped a small envelope into my hand. Don't open it yet, he cautioned, his voice piercing the chaos of my racing thoughts. You'll understand soon enough. Then, as if dissipating into the ether, he was gone, swallowed by the city's unsuspecting crowd. A new weight lingered in my palm, heavy with mystery and potential, but the question that loomed in the depths of my heart remained. Was I ready to confront a tangled fate that whispered of shadows that could sever the very fabric of the life I knew? Marcus watched me, worry etched across his features, the tension unyielding. As the sirens blared on, the encroaching uncertainty lay thick in the air, and I knew that the journey had just begun. I would need to unravel not just the truth about my mother, but all the layers of history that formed my very identity, where hope and dread entwined like twin vines seeking the light, even as darker threads threatened to pull me into the abyss. The envelope felt oddly warm against my skin, radiating a pulse of anticipation as we stood there, a pair of souls dancing at the edge of a dark chasm. With Marcus close by, I felt the weight of our shared fears. The words of the man from the shadows echoed in my mind, ricocheting like collapsing walls. Those who watch are not forgiving. What were those words meant to unravel in my life, I wondered, almost suffocated by an avalanche of possibilities. What if he's right? I whispered, more to myself than to Marcus. My heart galloped as I turned the envelope over in my hands. The weight of decision bore down on me. Do I open it now, risking unleashing unknown truths, or do I feign ignorance in hopes of preserving the tranquil facade of normalcy? Diane Marcus's voice was low, a mixture of concern and protective instinct. Can we just go home? Back to your mother? She needs to know what? That I refuse to face my history? I shot back, my frustration bubbling to the surface. What if this is the key to understanding who I really am? If there are people out there who want to hurt me, shouldn't I know? He shook his head, exasperation and worry battling in his deep brown eyes. Or it could be a trap. You don't know who this man is, who he is connected to. My resolve faltered for a fleeting moment, the fear of the unknown wrestling with an insatiable curiosity. The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting everything in hues of orange and crimson, a bittersweet reminder that beauty still existed even in turbulent moments. As I wrestled with my thoughts, I felt an arm slip around my shoulder. It was a small act, but it sent warmth cascading through my body. It's okay to be afraid, Marcus murmured softly. But you don't have to do this alone. With those simple words, I felt the steel grip of panic around my heart loosen ever so slightly. He was right. I didn't have to traverse this treacherous path alone. But what if this journey was something I needed to take, not just for myself, but for the family I had yet to unearth? I exhaled a shaky breath, steeling myself. Let us go to my mother. But not until I see what's in this envelope. Marcus's expression shifted subtly, realizing I had made my choice. The soft warmth from his embrace lingered even after I pulled away. The prospect of opening it filled me with anticipation, and what if it led to some clarity? What if the answers I sought were obscured by the mere act of not knowing? I tore open the envelope. Inside was a single piece of thick paper and a key, a small, ornate key that caught the light between my fingers. While my heart raced, I unfolded the letter, the crisp sound of paper meeting the tension in the air. Diane, it began in looping script. The time has come for you to discover your strength. You are the heart of a legacy, one entwined with secrets, awaiting the day you would dare to unlock the truth hidden in the shadows. The key I give you is the doorway to answers you've been seeking. Follow the directions carefully. I scanned the remainder of the letter, drawn into the flow of words detailing a place I had never heard of, a mansion on the outskirts of the city, a place with a past inscribed in whispers. This was it. This was the moment that could tip my world into chaos and revelation. Where does it lead? Marcus prompted, his piercing gaze cutting through my distraction. I met his eyes, trembling on the verge of a life-altering decision. A mansion somewhere out by the old docks. I think this might be where our family history unfolds. Again, the tension swirled, a tug-of-war between instinct and understanding. The symbols of my past were now beckoning me, daring me forward into their depth, urging me to reclaim my story. Diane, you can't ignore the risks. The concern etched across Marcus's face tightened the knot of anxiety in my chest. What if it's a trap? What if they're waiting for you there? They might be, I conceded. But I have to take this step. For once, I want to take control of my narrative. The streets appeared darker now, shadows lengthening ominously around us as we began our trek toward the mansion. Each step felt monumental, and though the foreboding excitement surged through my veins, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My heart raced at the thought of what awaited us, the questions woven into the fabric of the night. What truth could I uncover? And how long would it be before I faced the consequences of those who lurked in the shadows? Arriving at the decrepit building, I hesitated at the entrance, a sense of foreboding tightening in my throat. The air thickened with secrets, thick enough to taste as I pressed my hand against the ancient wooden door. But just before I could push it open, a sudden shout erupted from behind us, muffled, but sharp enough to freeze the blood in my veins. Stop right there. We turned, adrenaline surging through, heartbeats synchronizing with the danger now palpable in the air. In that heartbeat, I understood this was the moment where paths would diverge, secrets would shatter, and the shadows that had loomed were ready to strike. The haunting call echoed in my mind like a grating melody, and as I turned to face whatever lay ahead, the darkness pressed closer, whispering, waiting, urging me to unravel the twisted threads of my legacy before I could ever fully understand it. As the shout erupted from behind us, an icy grip clutched my heart. I whipped around to see a shadowy figure emerging from the dim alley adjacent to the old mansion. The silhouette stood defiant, blocking our path, a mere form yet unsettling all the same. "Who are you?" I called out, trying to mask the tremor in my voice with a veneer of courage. My fingers instinctively clutched the key in my palm, the cold metal grounding me against the terrifying uncertainty that engulfed us. "It's not who I am that matters," the figure replied, stepping into the flickering light of the nearby street lamp. "It's what you're about to uncover." The glow revealed a man thin, unkempt, with a wild mane of hair that framed his face like a lioness' mane. His eyes, however, were piercing, filled with knowledge and a weary intensity, as if he had danced too long with shadows. "Marcus, stay behind me," I whispered, unsure if my heart raced from fear or a surge of adrenaline mingled with curiosity. "Why? What did you come here for?" Marcus asked, fiercely protective, positioning himself slightly in front of me. "Not to frighten you," the man said, holding up his hands in a placating gesture. "But this isn't a safe place for you, not right now. Enough cryptic warnings. Just tell us what you know." I stepped forward, pushing back against the fear swelling in my chest. "Is it about my family? What do you know about my father?" The man hesitated, as though weighing the consequence of divulging what resided in his mind. "Your father," he began slowly, "he wasn't who you think he was. There are things buried in that mansion. Secrets waiting to be unearthed that can change everything you believe about your legacy." With every word, a fire ignited within me. Could this be the catalyst I needed to shake the shackles of my uncertainty? "What do you mean? What secrets?" He opened his mouth to respond, but the piercing sound of sirens echoed down the street, drowning out his voice. A sharp, throaty sound echoed as a police car screeched to a halt nearby, its flashing lights casting an erratic glow. "Run!" Marcus shouted, grabbing my wrist, and instinctively my feet followed his lead, darting away from the uncertainty that closed in behind us. We rounded a corner just as uniformed officers spilled out of the car, shining their flashlights down side streets and alleyways. The sound of footsteps echoed relentlessly, like the markers of a ticking clock counting down to an uncertain fate. "Why are they looking for you?" I demanded, breathless as we paused for cover behind a tall hedge. "I don't know, I swear." The man called from the shadows, his voice burdened with urgency. "But whatever is hidden there, just know there are more than just answers inside. There are those who will do anything to keep the truth buried." "Then let them," I snapped, turning to face him. "If they're hiding the truth, then I cannot back down. I need to know who I am. Diane." Marcus's voice cut through, a forceful anchor in the tempest swirling around us. "We can figure this out. We can go home and know." The desperation in my voice surprised even me. "You don't understand this isn't just about me anymore. If there are people who want to keep my history hidden, then they are dangerous. I have to confront this. It's my only chance." I turned back, meeting the silhouette of the man. "Help us find the truth. We need to get inside that mansion." The man hesitated, hesitation wrought into his very stance. Finally, he nodded, stepping closer, a new resolve glimmering in his eyes. "It's not just about where you are headed, but also about who will come after. You might open the door to your past, but you may also unleash those who will hunt fiercely to silence you." Suddenly, the patrol car's lights shifted. "Did you hear that?" Marcus hissed urgently, tugging at my wrist. "We should go. Now." I felt torn, a collision of instincts, the responsibility of reclaiming my broken past clashing with the urgency of our imminent escape. But the key in my hand felt like destiny itself, a beckoning promise of understanding. With a sudden flash of bravery, I turned to the man, whispering, "Tell me how to enter the mansion." His face twisted with a mixture of sympathy and grim understanding. "In the side garden, there's a hidden entrance. If you find it, be careful. This family's past can haunt even the brightest of souls." Just as he spoke, the distant wail of a police officer's voice rang out closer, chasing away our small circle of safety. "We don't have time," Marcus exclaimed, eyes wide with panic. The urgency of the situation surged within me. I took a breath, forcing my thoughts to settle. "Let us go," I said, confidence coursing through my veins with each syllable. With the shadows tailing us, we dashed toward the side garden, my heart thrumming as we pushed through thick foliage, slipping into the darkness of what awaited behind the faded walls of the mansion. As my fingers brushed over the crumbling facade, I felt a hum of electricity, the key pulsed in my hand, resonating with my heart. Here and now, just behind these ancient walls lay the answers I had sought all my life, a key to a history that had a life of its own, just as tenuous as the air around us. But just as I slipped the key into the lock, the echo of hurried footsteps halted us. A group of figures loomed in the distance, their faces obscured, but intentions clear. They were coming for us, coming like shadows escaping from the light. I turned to Marcus, our eyes locking, fear and determination etched in every line of our expressions. "What have I just opened?" I whispered, dread weaving through my chest as the door creaked open, revealing darkness within, and beyond that threshold, beneath the weight of questions and truths unspoken, lay something that would either bolster my fight to understand my lineage or trap me in the very shadows I had meant to defy. As the door creaked open, the darkness beckoned like a siren's call, daring me to step into its depths. I swallowed hard, heart pounding in my chest. The whispers of my father, the promise of my mother, the caution of the man who warned us, all converged in this moment. Could I really confront the truth waiting just beyond this threshold? The weight of uncertainty pressed down on my shoulders, yet as I glanced back at Marcus, I felt that flicker of courage ignite anew. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, the urgency of our situation palpable. I nodded, grasping the key tightly. Together, we stepped inside, the air heavy with dust and years of neglect. The faint light trickled through cracked windows, illuminating remnants of what had once been a grand mansion. Golden hues danced upon the worn furniture and faded portraits that adorned the walls, haunting reminders of lives long gone. Each step deeper into the maw of the mansion sent shivers racing down my spine, echoing my inner trepidation. And yet, as we moved further in, my resolve surged. I could sense something waiting, something that longed to be uncovered. Here, in this house woven with shadows and memories, I had the chance to unravel the threads of my past. I could finally piece together the tapestry of my family's history and my place within it. "Look," Marcus whispered, peering into what seemed to be a grand study. I followed his gaze, spotting what looked like a journal resting atop a mahogany desk, its spine adorned with an intricate design. It appeared untouched, gathering dust as though it, too, was locked away from the outside world. As I approached the desk, my fingers tinged with anticipation, I caught sight of a nearby bookshelf that seemed even more alluring. A memory flashed, a time spent listening to my mother's stories of family, of laughter shared in rooms just like this one. "Should we check the journal?" I asked, my heart racing. "Let's see what it holds," Marcus urged, stepping close behind me, his presence a steady warmth against the oppressive weight of the mansion. I opened the leather-bound journal with a gentle creak. The pages were filled with elegant script, words cascading like memories poured out of the depths of someone's soul. I could almost feel the breaths that had lingered over these pages. Names, dates, memories unfolded. Then it came, a name so familiar, it struck a chord that reverberated through every fiber of my being. Emma, my mother. But as I read further, the words bent and twisted, darkness swirled into the light, stories of betrayal, of secrets kept to shield, but also of strength. My mother had fought against powerful forces, not just for herself but for me. And my father, the enigma that had haunted me, was painted in shades of gray, fiercely protective yet irrevocably flawed. "Diane, look at this." Marcus pointed to a passage detailing a hidden chamber beneath the mansion. Hope surged within me, the possibility of unearthing a long-buried truth igniting every nerve. But dread nestled in the corners of my mind. What more could I uncover? "We need to find this chamber," I said, my voice resolute. "It could hold the key to understanding everything." We began to scavenge the study, a thrill coursing through my veins as we moved furniture and flicked on flashlights, illuminating corners long shrouded in darkness. It felt like we were piecing together fragments of a puzzle, each move bringing us closer to a hidden world of my family's legacies, a world riddled with shadows, secrets, but perhaps also forgiveness. My breath quickened as I spotted a section of floor where the boards looked worn and distressed, a concealed path begging for discovery. Down here, I murmured, my fingers brushing over the warped wood, revealing a trapdoor that creaked in response to my touch. Marcus joined me, our hands working together, and with a final push, the door swung open with a low groan, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling into darkness. "Are we ready?" he asked, concern etched across his features. I took a deep breath. We've come this far. Together, we descended, reaching the final step where faint light flickered ahead. As we rounded the corner, I felt an energy pulse through the air, an undercurrent of anticipation that sent chills racing down my spine. What lay before us was an underground chamber, walls adorned with photographs and documents, boxes of memories, a treasure trove of our family's past. And in the center, warped but standing resilient, a family tree etched into stone, roots tangled deep like the secrets I had unearthed. "Diane," Marcus whispered, awe enveloping the space between us. Silence was thick with reverence, each face entwined in the chaotic tales of my lineage. I approached the family tree, my fingers brushing its cold surface. There, etched within the tangled branches, was my name, a flickering hope interwoven with those who had come before me. And suddenly, pieces fell into place. I wasn't just lost, I was part of something vast, a legacy that stretched far beyond my fears. But just then, as clarity flickered like lightning, a thunderous crash sounded from above. The shadows stirred, casting fresh dread through our hearts. "They've found us," Marcus said, a tremor in his voice. The heavy footsteps echoed closer, vibrating through the very floor beneath us. Panic surged as I glanced at him, fear igniting in both our eyes. "What do we do?" "Together." He grasped my hand tightly, an anchor in the chaos swirling around us. "We'll uncover the truth no matter what." As the looming presence approached, a sudden thought pierced my mind, a moment I had been seeking since this journey began. In confronting this darkness, wedged within the folds of my history lay my freedom. My heart raced wildly as I realized, in this moment, I had the power to alter the legacy that had sought to define me. The figures calling my name, their insistence echoing against the weight of expectations, would find no dominion here. We would not be trapped by the shadows of those who came before. I felt Marcus's grip tighten. Together, we lifted our chins in defiance against the encroaching darkness. If I was to break the cycle, I needed to embrace every piece of who I was, to find strength in the very turmoil that had once sought to crush me. And then, as the door burst open, a wave of midnight darkness flooded the chamber, but underneath that darkness lay the unbroken light of truth, the unfolding of my narrative. "This is our fight to embrace," I declared, and with each heartbeat, I realized it would no longer be a struggle between the shadows and the light, but a vivid dance between resilience and revelation. We stood tall, ready to face whatever came from the shadows, determined to carve out our own destiny, illuminating the world we were meant to embrace. So I took a breath, gathering courage and resolve. Whatever the outcome, I would not be defined by fear but forged by the truth waiting to unfold. And as the darkness loomed, I felt the warmth of hope wrap around me, whispering, "This is where your journey begins."